The cleaner's hand brushed my sleeve, light as a warning breath. "Get out now," she whispered, eyes wide with something that wasn't fear, it was certainty. My daughter was laughing 10 feet away, veil glowing under chandeliers, her future unfolding like a promise. I should have stayed. Instead, I followed the cleaner into the shadows behind the ballroom. Weddings are supposed to sound like joy, glass clinking, music swelling, people saying your child's name as if it's a blessing. That night, it did. Every sound wrapped around me like proof that I had done something right in this world. I stood near the back, not because I didn't belong up front, but because fathers learned to step aside. We raise, we guide, and then we watch. I watched my daughter, Aisha, as she moved through the room with a smile I'd known since she was 7, polite, careful, always trying to make sure everyone else was comfortable before herself. I remember thinking how grown she looked. How the years had folded into that one moment. How my chest felt too full. The cleaner had been moving between tables since the ceremony ended, quiet, efficient. Middle-aged, hair pulled back, uniform pressed as if she'd ironed it with discipline rather than heat. I'd noticed her because she didn't look at the floor like the others. She looked at people, at faces, like she was reading them. When her eyes met mine the first time, she looked away too quickly. I told myself it meant nothing. Then she passed me again. Slower this time, her cart squeaked softly, a single stubborn wheel. She paused beside me as if to wipe a spill that didn't exist. That's when she leaned in, close enough that I could smell the lemon cleaner on her gloves. "Get out now," she said. No drama, no shaking voice, just those 3 words, steady and sharp. I stared at her, waiting for a smile, a laugh, something to tell me this was a joke. She didn't give me any of that. She looked past me, toward the head table, and her jaw tightened. "Sir," she added, almost gently, "please." My first instinct was anger. Who whispers things like that at a wedding? My daughter's wedding. I wanted to tell her she was out of line, that if she had a problem she should speak to the manager. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way her hands trembled while her voice didn't. Or the way she didn't ask me anything, didn't ask who I was, didn't ask if I understood. She assumed I mattered. She assumed I would listen. I thought of all the times I hadn't listened in my life. The cost of those moments. I glanced at Aisha again. She was leaning toward her husband, smiling, listening, trusting. "I can't," I whispered back. "This is my daughter." The cleaner's eyes softened. "I know." That was when my stomach dropped. She turned her cart and started toward the service corridor that led behind the kitchen. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. I stood there, music rising around me, applause breaking out for a toast I didn't hear. My wife caught my eye from across the room and smiled. I smiled back. A reflex. A lie. I told myself I'd follow for 1 minute. Just to tell her she was wrong. Just to clear the air. I took a step, then another. The lights dimmed as I moved away from the ballroom, the warmth of celebration thinning into the cool hush of back halls. The laughter faded, replaced by the hum of machines and the distant clatter of dishes. She waited at the corner, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the floor. When she saw me, she nodded once. "You shouldn't be here," I said, more to steady myself than to accuse her. "I know," she replied. "I shouldn't be telling you this. But I've been cleaning this place for 12 years. I know how secrets sound. I know how they move. I wanted details, names, proof. But I didn't ask, because part of me already knew this wasn't about evidence. This was about timing." She led me farther down the corridor, past a door marked staff only. The air smelled like metal and soap. My heart beat louder than my footsteps. "My name is Farah," she said. "I clean the bridal suite after events. I clean the rooms people think no one will enter again." "What are you saying?" I asked. She stopped, turned to face me fully now. "I'm saying your daughter trusts someone she shouldn't. And tonight, that trust is being used." Every word felt like a blade sliding under my skin, not cutting, just pressing. I thought of the months leading up to the wedding. The way arrangements were handled so smoothly. The friend who had stepped in to help when I was overwhelmed. Someone I'd welcomed. Someone I'd thanked. Someone I'd trusted. There had been little things. Aisha's hesitations when certain topics came up. A laugh that arrived half a second too late. I'd noticed them and dismissed them, because love teaches us to protect happiness from suspicion. Farah reached into her pocket and pulled out nothing. No phone, no note, just her hand, empty, shaking slightly now. "I can't show you anything," she said. I can only tell you where not to stand when the music stops. My mouth went dry. Where? She looked at the door at the end of the hall. The one with no label. The one slightly ajar. That room, she said. In 10 minutes, someone will open it thinking they're unseen. I heard footsteps approaching from behind us. Voices. Familiar ones. Farah stepped back, already fading into her role, pushing her cart forward like none of this had happened. I stood there, alone in the corridor, the echo of celebration pulsing through the walls. 10 minutes. My daughter's laughter drifted down the hall, bright and unbroken. Then I heard my name spoken softly from behind that door. And it wasn't said with love. When you hear your name spoken behind a closed door, your body reacts before your mind does. My heart didn't race, it sank. Because the voice wasn't hurried. It wasn't shocked to see me there. It sounded prepared. I stood frozen, 10 minutes echoing in my head like a countdown I hadn't agreed to. The music from the ballroom swelled, muffled but joyful, painfully out of place. I thought of Farah's words, I know how secrets sound. I know how they move. This one moved slowly, confidently, like it had nowhere to run. I didn't open the door right away. I pressed my palm against it instead, feeling the faint vibration of voices inside. 2 people, 1 male, 1 female. The woman laughed softly, the kind of laugh you use when you think you're safe. When no one important is listening. I told you he wouldn't suspect a thing, she said. That laugh, I knew it. I'd heard it across dinner tables, over years of shared holidays, during moments of comfort when trust had already done its work. My sister-in-law. I opened the door. They stopped mid-sentence. The silence that followed wasn't surprise. It was calculation. My brother-in-law stood near the small table, phone in his hand, eyes narrowing just slightly. My sister-in-law recovered first. She smiled, instinctively warm, as if we were meeting by accident in a hallway instead of a locked room at my daughter's wedding. Oh, she said lightly. There you are. We were just talking about me, I finished. She didn't deny it. That was the first crack. For years, she had been part of everything. She helped plan the wedding when my wife fell ill from stress. She picked up calls when vendors needed decisions. She'd told Aisha, you can trust me. I'll handle it, and Aisha did, because family is where we place our blindest faith. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. Not to trap them, just to hear the truth without it leaking back into the celebration. Where is she? I asked. My brother-in-law shifted. She's fine, he said quickly. Too quickly. She's with friends. That wasn't my question. My sister-in-law sighed, the smile finally fading. You weren't supposed to find out like this. There it was. Not what are you talking about? Not you're mistaken. Just regret over timing. What have you done? I asked. She looked down, then back up at me, eyes steady. Nothing that isn't already in motion. I thought of the months of planning. The paperwork I hadn't read closely because I trusted her to manage it. The changes she insisted were standard. The separate room bookings. The unfamiliar names on documents I'd signed in haste. You moved things, I said slowly. You rearranged things. She nodded. For her future. For whose future? My voice shook now. For all of us, my brother-in-law said. Look, you're emotional. That's understandable. But this wedding, this is an opportunity. I laughed once, sharp and empty. You're talking about my daughter like she's an investment. She married well, my sister-in-law replied. Better than you realize. There are assets involved, international ones. With the right guidance, with control, I snapped. Her eyes flashed. With protection. That's when I understood. This wasn't about stealing money or running away in the night. This was quieter, legal, polished, a cage built from signatures and smiles. They had arranged for Aisha to leave immediately after the reception. A surprise honeymoon. Documents prepared, decisions pre-signed, power of attorney disguised as convenience. She trusted you, I said. My sister-in-law's voice softened. She trusted us to take care of things she didn't want to think about. I felt something inside me fracture, not rage, not despair, but clarity. I thought of Farah cleaning rooms no one checked, of how many truths lived in the margins, kept alive by people we barely see. Does she know? I asked. They hesitated. That was enough. I turned and walked out, my steps measured, my face calm. Panic would only slow me down. The hallway felt longer now, the lights harsher. I passed Farah near the service entrance. She looked at me once, searching my face. It's worse than I thought, I whispered. She nodded. Then you still have time. I didn't ask how she knew. I didn't ask why she cared. Some people act because they can't stand to watch silence win. I returned to the ballroom just as applause broke out again. Aisha was standing, bouquet in hand, eyes shining. For a moment, I almost didn't do it. Almost let the music carry her away from this truth for one more song. But love isn't protection if it's quiet when it needs to speak. I caught her eye and held it. The smile on her face faltered, not from fear, but recognition. She knew me. She knew that look. I walked toward her, past curious guests, past the warmth of celebration. I leaned in, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Don't leave tonight, I said. Not with anyone, not for anything. Her brow furrowed. Why? Because someone you trust is making choices for you. She glanced instinctively toward her aunt. I saw understanding bloom, slow and painful. I need you to trust me now, I added. She nodded once. Just once. That was all it took. Behind us, the music kept playing. The plan unraveled quietly, thread by thread. There would be consequences, conversations, legal storms, but my daughter was still here. Still free. As the cleaner slipped out a side door, unnoticed, I caught one last glimpse of her. She met my eyes and gave a small, tired smile. Some heroes don't stand at the altar. They walk the halls no one else sees.